All right. In this video's lesson, we're going to be talking about two things. We're first going to talk about what's called the scale factor. Then we're going to talk about what's called the ratio of perimeter, and we'll see how that's related to scale factor and how we'll be able to use that to solve certain types of problems. So starting with scale factor, the scale factor is the ratio of any pair of corresponding sides in similar figures. So the figures have to be similar, and then the ratio of the corresponding sides is going to be what's called the scale factor. Now, the order of the numbers is important, so you've got to make sure that you're going in the right direction as you find the scale factor of these two different triangles. So first, let's talk about what is the scale factor going from triangle ABC to triangle DEF. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a ratio for each of our pairs of corresponding sides. So what that means is that we're going to compare like the 8 to 12. So we would have 8 over 12, which should be equal to 10 over 15, which should be equal to 14 over 21. And in fact, if you reduce all of these, they end up reducing to be 2 over 3. In other words, they are all the same. And again, if you're wanting to know how to reduce those, feel free to use a calculator to do that. Just type in 8 divided by 12, change it to a fraction, something like that, and you should be able to get to the simplified fraction. Now, what is the scale factor going in the other direction, going from DEF to ABC? Well, if you think about it, you're just going to take all these numbers and go in reverse. So it will be 12 over 8. The next one would then be 15 over 10. And the last would be 21 over 14. And so if you think about what that's going to change is that really this is now going to be the what's called reciprocal of the original scale factor. So reciprocal, we haven't really talked about that yet, but the reciprocal of a fraction is basically that fraction flipped is what you want to be thinking about. All right, finally, in this third question, what is the ratio of the perimeter now of DEF to ABC? Well, let's go ahead and calculate the perimeter. So we're going to take 12 plus 15 plus 21. That ends up being a perimeter of 48 for triangle DEF. Whereas if we add up the sides of triangle ABC, 8 plus 10 plus 14 is 32. And if we put those together as a ratio, that would mean going from DEF to ABC, we would take 48 divided by 32, which actually simplifies to be 3 over 2. And if you notice, that actually came from the same scale factor as going from DEF to ABC. That's not by coincidence. In fact, that's going to be the next topic we're going to talk about, which is what's called the ratio of perimeters. So if polygons are similar, then the ratio of the perimeter is going to be the same as that of the scale factor. In other words, if your scale factor is A over B, or if you wanted to write it using the colon notation, A to B, then the ratio of the perimeter is going to be the exact same, A over B or A to B. So let's go ahead and do some practice with that. In this first example, let's consider that if PQRS was similar to XTZY. Well, first thing we can do is we can figure out the measure of the missing angles, because remember the angles have to match each other. And if you notice, S matches with Y, that would mean the 100 would go here. Also, P matches with X, so that would put 70 right here. Q matches with T, so that would mean 80 goes right here. And lastly, Z matches with R, so we can put 110 right here. In other words, the measure of angle P was equal to 70, measure of angle R was equal to 110, measure of angle T was equal to 80, and the measure of angle Y was equal to 100. Next, it wants us to find the scale factor of PQRS to XTZY. Now here's kind of the nice part, is it really doesn't matter which side you want to pick. Let's go ahead and use this 3 and this 4. And if we're going from PQRS to XTZY, that would mean that our ratio then is going to be 3 to 4. So then the ratio of the perimeter we just talked about is going to be the exact same is that of the scale factor, so that's also going to be 3 to 4. Now, finding the other sides is going to be a little bit more tricky. We're going to have to do a little bit of solving to get those other sides. Let's go ahead and start by trying to find side PQ. So that would be this side right here. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that in red. So what that matches up with is this 9 on the polygon XTZY. So we're going to say that PQ over 9 is equal to, that would be the same as going from 3 to 4. Remember, that's our scale factor. So now we have to solve for PQ, so we'll do some cross multiplying. So 3 multiplied by 9, which is 27, is equal to PQ multiplied by 4. So we'll just call that 4PQ. And then to get PQ by itself, we'll divide each side by 4. And that would tell us that PQ, I'm going to write this kind of on the next page, but that PQ is equal to 27 over 4. Again, type that into a calculator, is going to be 6.75. It didn't tell us to round, so I'll just leave it at 6.75. Be careful on the practice. Wherever it wants you to round to, make sure that you're rounding to the correct decimal place, usually the nearest tenth. All right, let's go ahead and find our next side. So we want to now find PS. So I'm going to highlight that in blue, which matches up with this 6. And so our proportion is going to look very similar. We're going to say PS over 6 is equal to 3 over 4, which was our scale factor. All right, let's do our cross multiplications. 6 multiplied by 3 is 18. PS multiplied by 4 is 4PS. And now to get PS by itself, let's divide each side by 4. So PS is equal to 18 divided by 4, which as a decimal would be 4.5. All right, one more side to find. We just have side SR left, which matches with this 7. So SR over 7 is going to be equal to our scale factor, which again was 3 over 4. All right, so let's go ahead and do our cross multiplication. 7 multiplied by 3 is 21. SR multiplied by 4 is 4SR. And to get SR by itself, we'll just divide each side by 4 to get that SR is equal to 21 over 4. And again, reduce that to a decimal, so 5.25. All right, let's do another example. In fact, this would be a good chance if you want to practice one on your own to go ahead and pause the video, and then we'll work through this one and you can check your work. So if you want to try one, pause the video right now, and then I will work through all the solutions and you can check your work. All right, let's take a look at it. So if BARK is similar to THEM, then first off, we know the angles have to kind of match up with each other. And so what we want to look for is that H will actually match up with A. So that'll make this angle right here 103. E will match up with R. So that would make 85, this angle right here for R. We also have that K matches with M. So K is 97, that means M is as well. And B matches with T, so that would make this angle 75. So let's fill those in. Measure of angle R we found was 85. Measure of M we found was 97. The measure of angle A was equal to 103. And the measure of angle T was equal to 75. All right, so now let's find the scale factor between those. So I'm going to pick the side that's between our angle K and our angle R, which is 10, which is between 97 and 85. So the other side that's between 97 and 85 on our next polygon is 5. So we'll take 10 over 5. Tells us that our scale factor is 2 or 2 over 1, depending on how you want to write that. All right. So now, find the ratio of the perimeter. Well, we know that that's going to have to be the exact same. That's going to have to be 2 to 1. All right. So let's go ahead and find some missing sides. Let's go ahead and start with finding side RA, which would match, if you look, between 85 and 103 with E2H. Now, if you think about it, this is actually going to be pretty easy because we know that BARK is twice as big as THEN. So if HE is 4, then take 4 and double that, since the polygon for BARK is twice the size, and 4 multiplied by 2 is 8, there's your side length for RA. In a similar way, we can find BA pretty quickly. We know that that has to match up with this HT, which is 6, and since it has to be double, we'll take 6 and multiply by 2 is 12, and there's our side length for BA. Lastly, we're going to find our length of TM. So TM is right here. That corresponds to this side length, which is BK. Now we have to be careful because we're going from BARK to THEM. And so going in that direction, rather than doubling, we're actually going to take half of 12, and half of 12 is 6. So there's our length of TM. All right, 2 more problems to go, and then we'll be done with this lesson. So first off, the ratio of one side of ABC to the corresponding side of DEF is 5:8. So let's do this. Let's draw a picture. Let's kind of visualize what's going on. So we've got ABC, and then we've got triangle DEF. It says the ratio of one side is 5:8. We don't know which side that is. Let's just pick B to C and E to F then. So 5:8. The perimeter of DEF is 96. So 96 inches in total for DEF. So then what is the perimeter of ABC? So I'm just going to put a question mark for that. That's what we're trying to find. All right, well, let's go ahead and set up our proportion. So we know that we can go from 5 to 8. Should be proportional as going from this question mark to 96. Now we can solve by cross multiplying. So we can take 5 multiplied by 96 is 480 is equal to 8 multiplied by our question mark. And you can use a different variable if you don't like to use the question mark. All right, so now to figure out what our question mark is, we need to get rid of the 8. So divide by 8 on each side. And that tells us that 60 is equal to our question mark. And then we'll just have to be careful and make sure we include the label. So 60 inches is going to be the perimeter of ABC. All right, this next one would be a good one for you to practice if you want to try one on your own. I'm going to give you a second to pause the video if you'd like to do that, and then we'll work through it together to check your answer. All right, let's take a look at it. So it says the ratio of one side of ABC to the corresponding side of DEF is 3:7. Let's set these up again. So here's ABC. Here is DEF. So ABC, it doesn't matter which side, is 3 to DEF is 7. This time we're told that ABC is a perimeter of 54 feet. And we need to know what is the perimeter of DEF. I'm just going to call that P this time. So let's go ahead and set up our proportion. We know that 3 has to be proportionate to 7, and that 54 has to be proportionate to P. So to solve for P, we'll go ahead and do our cross multiplication. So 7 multiplied by 54 is 378. And then 3 multiplied by P is 3P. So now to get P by itself, just divide each side by 3. And we get that 126 is equal to P. And again, make sure that you're careful and include the label. This time we were talking in terms of feet. So that would be 126 feet. All right, that is all we've got for this video. In the next lesson, we're going to be talking about using scale factor to find the length of sides in similar figures. Until then, have a great rest of your day.